Hello, 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 and welcome to Friendship Empire. I'm the Empress, and on today's episode, we are talking about the crypto bro scandal out of New York City. Now, if you haven't been following this case, or if you haven't heard about it at all, it's pretty wild. The two gentlemen down here on the lower left-hand side of the screen, that's William and John, William Duplessis on the left and John Woelz on the right. And, they got arrested in the end of May of this year, 2025, it being July, 3rd, 2025, as I am speaking. So this is a little over a month ago that these two gentlemen got arrested. I say gentlemen, they are presumed innocent until possibly found guilty in a court of law. So these two are not convicted. They have pleaded not guilty. So I want to make that perfectly clear. And just a bit word of warning, there is a little bit of content, a little bit of spicy content. So I may have to speak around some of those terms just to keep things clean for YouTube and whatnot, not get into too much of the details, because it gets a little weird, a little wacky with these two. What they are accused of, not necessarily what they did, because I wasn't there, we weren't there, we don't know for sure. And it hasn't gone to trial just yet. So these two guys were arrested and, as you can see by the headline here, accused of luring an Italian businessman, a business associate of theirs, to New York City. They are accused of holding this man hostage, kidnapping him, and subjecting him to various allegedly subjecting him to various assaults, attacks, all with the goal of getting him to reveal his Bitcoin password so that they could allegedly take millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin from whatever account he had it stored in. Now, the man left the townhouse where he was allegedly being held captive and alerted the police, and that led to one arrest, two arrests in Manhattan. It led to, I believe it was three. There was an assistant of these two, John and William, who was also arrested but let go. There was a double raid down in Kentucky. That's been not very well covered. So this is at least a two-state investigation and operation that involved New York police officers, the NYPD. It involved FBI, ATF. This is clearly a very, very big case, and it got a lot of attention at first, and then as May went into June, it all kind of died down. But it's very weird, and it just seems like, okay, these were crypto bros gone wild, guys who got all wacky with greed and decided to do a crazy thing. Well, they were wacky with more than just greed, as we will find out. And that is also going to require me to use a little euphemistic language to keep things, family friendly and general audience friendly. But we'll get to that in a moment. But there are these weird connections. There's a connection to current New York City Mayor Eric Adams. There's a link to the Biden family. There's a link to the Real Housewives television franchise. That may be the weirdest one. And a link to inevitably the man who pops up in so many places now that he's no longer with us. That's right, Jeffrey Epstein, I'd say one and only, but if you look through history, recent history, there has been more than one type of man such as Jeffrey Epstein. But anyway, We will get to that. This is going to be a series because there is so much information, so many articles, and so much wackiness to delve into that right now we are doing part one. We're going to go through some of the articles, some of the news coverage as it happened, so you can watch the story unfold and see how it developed, how all these little breadcrumbs came out in the news of these, as I said, connections to people who are much bigger, much more powerful, much more famous, and then it all just kind of got quiet. Perhaps because nothing is actually happening in the legal system just yet, but this is definitely something to keep an eye on, because a lot of connections, very, very weird, very, very shady. So, starting with the New York Times article from, one moment, this is the 24th of May, 2025, updated 3 days later. So this is one of the first news stories that came out, breaking the news. Crypto investor charged with kidnapping and torturing man for weeks. The investor, 37-year-old John Woelz, that's crypto bro in orange if you look on the lower left-hand of the screen over here. That's Woelz. And another man, that would be William Duplessis, the man, the crypto bro on the left, abused their victim for 3 weeks in a Manhattan townhouse as they tried to get his Bitcoin password, prosecutors say. Now, this was the scene outside of the townhouse. The townhouse is here. We'll be taking a little look at that in just a moment. And this is John Woelz, as you can see, barefoot, which you never want to be barefoot on a Manhattan sidewalk, but he's barefoot in a robe with the NYPD, not clear who that is, but NYPD officers, as you can see here, arrested in Nolita, and we will take a look at where exactly that is. Some of the articles say that the townhouse was located in Nolita, others say Soho. It's Nolita, not so much Soho. It's like, I guess that would be sort of East Soho, if you will. We'll take a look at it on a map, actually, and I'll show you where it is. It's funny. The pictures that line up on Google Maps with the article, the photographs that illustrate these articles. It's kind of funny. So continuing with the article. A 37-year-old cryptocurrency investor was charged on Saturday with kidnapping a man and, here we go, gets a little spicy, beating, shocking, and torturing him for weeks inside a luxury townhouse in downtown Manhattan, all in a scheme to get the man's Bitcoin password, the authorities said. The crypto investor, John Woelz, was taken into custody on Friday after the man managed to escape the townhouse and notify the police. Mr. Woelz was arraigned on Saturday morning in Manhattan Criminal Court and charged with assault, kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and criminal possession of a weapon that can hurl projectiles. I think you know what I'm talking about. Bang, bang. He was held without bail, and forced to surrender his passport, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office said. Another person, Beatrice Folke, was also arrested on Friday and charged with kidnapping and unlawful imprisonment, though her connection to Mr. Woelz was not immediately clear. Well, it will become clear very quickly. A third person, identified only as an unapprehended male, and that is indeed Duplessis, was also mentioned as a participant in the abuse during Mr. Woelz's arraignment. Wayne Irvin Gosnell Jr., Mr. Woelz's attorney, declined to comment on Saturday. Many details of the violent, weeks-long episode remained murky on Saturday, including how Mr. Woelz and the man knew each other and what had brought them to New York City. But on Friday, just after 9:30 a.m., the man, a 28-year-old from Italy, and his name will later be revealed as Michael Valentino Terrafrasto Cartaron, that's the Italian businessman, ran out of the townhouse in the Nolita neighborhood of Manhattan and toward a traffic agent nearby, according to a law enforcement official. The man, whose name has not been publicly released by authorities, but it will, told the police that he had arrived in the city from Italy on May 6th and had gone to the townhouse. Mr. Woelz, who is originally from Kentucky, had been renting the 8-bedroom home for at least $30,000 a month, the official said. I believe that price will go up in a different article. But when he arrived at the house, Mr. Woelz and the unapprehended male, that would be Duplessis, stole his electronic devices and his passport and demanded that he tell Mr. Woelz his Bitcoin password so they could steal his cryptocurrency, according to a criminal complaint against Mr. Woelz. When the victim refused, the two men took him captive and subjected him to weeks of torture, including beating him, shocking him with electric wires, hitting him with a weapon that hurls projectiles, and pointing that same weapon at his head. At one point, Mr. Woelz and his accomplice carried the man to the top of the stairs in the 5-story home, suspended him over the ledge, and threatened to unalive him if he did not give Mr. Woelz his password, the complaint says. And we are going to see some photographs from inside this townhouse, and there's one of the shots is a photograph of that staircase from the top looking down, and it's if you get vertigo, it would certainly trigger that, I would imagine, even if you were just standing there looking down, not being held over it, which allegedly happened. Okay, continuing. The two men also bound the victim's wrists, restraining him, and told him that they would have his family unalived, according to the complaint. The abuse continued for about 3 weeks until Friday morning, when the man managed to escape and alert the traffic agent. Police officers from the 5th Precinct arrived at the townhouse shortly after his escape on Friday and took Mr. Woelz into custody. The victim was taken to Bellevue Hospital in stable condition, the police said. And there are going to be even more alleged details that come out of the things that Duplessis and Woelz allegedly subjected the victim, Carteran, to. I want to foreshadow a little bit. There are some doubts as to whether this went down exactly as it is alleged in the criminal complaint. Let's put it that. And there is evidence that can possibly support that point of view that was released into the media. But we're gonna get there. We'll get there. Continuing the article. Inside the home, the police found Polaroid pictures showing the man bound and being assaulted, the law enforcement official said. They also found a weapon that hurls projectiles and several other items used for torture inside the house. 2 butlers who worked at the home were also present and agreed on Friday to be interviewed by the police, the official said. Now, how exactly were they holding this man hostage for weeks and subjecting him to such abuse? And not one, but two butlers didn't know, didn't say anything, didn't do anything. I know money talks, but possible involvement in a major criminal conspiracy probably screams, do something, say something, get some help, I would think, I would hope. But apparently not in this case. Okay, and then the rest of the article just sort of talks about other crimes that have been going on. So that's the New York Times, and this is how the news broke early that morning. Now we have an article from the Daily Beast, and this is from May 27, and this is Duplessis is now named and taken into custody. Suspected accomplice surrenders in Crypto King torture plot. A Tulane grad who lives in Switzerland is the latest to be taken into custody over a bizarre Bitcoin crime. And of course, that's Duplessis over here on the right. He is apparently a very tall, strapping gentleman and pretty frightening. You maybe can't quite tell from the one photograph that is up on the screen on the lower left, his courtroom appearance photograph, but he is a bit of a scary looking guy. Not so much Woelz, the guy on the right in the orange in the photograph on the lower left hand corner. He kinds of, as you'll see if you have eyes on screen, the photographs that are taken of these two after they were arrested, when they were in court. Woelz has more of a sort of weaselly look, and Crypto Bro on the left, Duplessis is more of a kind of scary Hulk smash mad kind of looking guy. I have dubbed these two Frankenbro and Weasel Bro, and I will sometimes use those terms interchangeably with their names. Duplessis on the right, that's Frankenbro, and Woelz on the left, that's Weasel Bro. So let's continue with the Daily Beast article. A second cryptocurrency tycoon surrendered to police Tuesday after the kidnapping and torturing, alleged kidnapping and torturing of an Italian tourist. Oh, this article claims he's a tourist. He was a business associate of theirs in some way, not a tourist just wandering around New York City who managed to run into these two. For his Bitcoin passcode, William Duplessis, a tech founder living in Switzerland, was accompanied by his lawyers when I'm sure they were thrilled. When he turned himself into the New York City Police Department on Tuesday, multiple outlets reported. Duplessis is a business partner of John Woelz, 37, who was arrested on Friday after his 28-year-old captive fled a $40,000 a month. Now it's $40,000, not $30,000 a month rented Soho, it's actually Nolita, townhouse, and flagged down a traffic cop, according to NBC New York. A source with knowledge of the situation told NBC New York that the two men had been violent toward the victim in the past, but not to this degree. The three men had something of a Wolf of Wall Street / frat guys gone wild dynamic between them, the person added. And here's another picture of Woelz being paraded in front of the press, doing a little perp walk. Duplessis, 33, that's Frankenbro, has a degree in business from Tulane University in New Orleans and has previously lived in Los Angeles, his Crunchbase profile says. He has been a long-term Bitcoin pusher, according to a YouTube show in 2017, to claim it would reach a value of $1 million. Its price is currently $110,193. Well, it's probably changed since this article has been written, and we're not going to look up the price of Bitcoin. However, let me pull up. I have that video from 2017. So this is, 8 years ago? Let me get that on screen. Oh, that didn't do it. There we go. Okay. So this is, believe it or not, the man on the right-hand side of this YouTube window. That's William Duplessis, just 8, long or short years ago, depending on how you want to look at it. The same guy who is here on the lower left-hand side of the screen in court. What the years have done to this man. So here he is talking about cryptocurrency. This is a very long video. I am not going to play all of it, but I just wanted to show a little bit of it just to show you William and how he's, so you can definitely see that his look has changed, but you can just get a little bit of sense of his vibe. And I don't know if he does mention it in the totality of this video, but this is when he was connected to someone very big in cryptocurrency right now, who's going to be mentioned a little bit later. So let's give it a look. Oh, and hold on. Let me see if I can get this going. All right, one moment and go.
What's up, Facebook? We're talking about Bitcoin going to $1 million. You're behind the scenes on this is a new show I've launched. This is episode 2 of my new Bitcoin crypto mentor mastermind. So I'm bringing in the smartest people in the world to mentor me, and then I'm sharing that with you on this new show. So, man, we got such a long thing. I had to write down everything about you.
William. A little bit.
Yeah, so I think the main thing people should know about you is you work with science. You work with Brock Pierce. That's how recommended. Yeah.
Ah, I hope you took note of that name, Brock Pierce. At this point, 2017, William Duplessis is working with Brock Pierce. Brock Pierce, if you're not familiar with him, well, if you've seen the movie The Mighty Ducks, then you might recall that he was one of the child actors playing one of the hockey players in that movie. He had an acting career as a child, and then when he got older, he segued into business. He could probably have an entire series on his own, Brock Pierce. The point is to remember this name because now he is big into cryptocurrency, evangelism, and we'll look a little bit more at Brock Pierce a little bit later in this episode and in a future episode of this series on Crypto Bros Gone Wild. But I just wanted to play a little bit more of William, it's not so much what he's saying, but just sort of get his general demeanor and vibe. And I can definitely, in my opinion, if you have the time, I haven't watched the entire video, but I have sort of scrubbed through and watched little bits here and there. It seems as though his demeanor changes a bit as the video goes on. He's a little bit of he doesn't seem the most comfortable type of person to be, say, marketing, selling, business products. The word trustworthy, he doesn't exactly inspire trust and confidence in me, but I think he definitely sells on the bro end of the crypto bro term. So let's see a little bit more of William, and I might scrub ahead so you can see. Maybe you can pick up on the little bit of a change in his demeanor, which the host here does not at all. He stays pretty constant the whole way through.
You run a trading desk.
Yeah, let's see here.
Percent gain over the past 20 years.
Okay.
Bitcoin over the past 5 years has done about 7,500%.
Huh.
So,
yeah, it's insane.
Yes, and if you look at the chart, it doesn't look like a traditional financial chart, right? A traditional financial chart will have dips, troughs. It won't be a hockey stick. Yeah. Bitcoin, the chart for Bitcoin looks a hell of a lot like the adoption chart of the internet early on.
Okay, so that's a little bit of William, and here we go. Here, he gets a bit more animated. He's really into crypto. Here, let's play just a teeny bit more. So now this is, about a half an hour into the interview.
It's a cool idea, but it's too future for now.
Gotcha.
Because it'll be slow.
So you're in some Telegram groups.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Telegram groups. I think that it's a really good way to get news, and it's a good way to get news that's curated by somebody who knows what they're talking about, because a lot of times on the other end of that Telegram channel, there's just someone who's an enthusiast who's running it.
Yes.
And you can just download the Telegram app and then just search literally crypto Telegram channels on Google.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe more animated wasn't quite what I wanted to say, but he certainly gets a little, I don't know. Would you buy a used car from this gentleman, William here? I don't know.
Allegedly, but I highly recommend. Look, don't invest. One of the things that we
He's
all
got
here, Brock, don't invest in what you don't.
Let me just say, he doesn't have the most trustworthy eyes, but you can definitely see there's been a little bit of a change from his look, appearance, demeanor in, obviously, he's arrested and in court being accused of horrible crimes. He wouldn't look the same. He wouldn't exactly be smiling and joking. But you can see that in a mere 8 years, I mean, he went from, he's supposedly 33 now. That is a rough 33. And so what was that, 8 years ago? He would have been 25. Yes, definitely looks young. That's a hard 8 years he's been doing, and that's not in prison. It's not like he was in prison and there's an excuse for why he's looking so rough. So, okay, that's a little bit of Duplessis in 2017, speaking about crypto and his work with Brock Pierce. So just keep that name in mind for future reference. And let me go back. There we go. Back to the article. I hope the sound on that video was okay. Okay, back to the article. The victim, whose name has not been released by authorities, was a partner in a crypto venture with his two alleged torturers. So see, not a tourist, a business partner. The details of their relationship are now key to the police investigation. The victim, an Italian citizen reportedly worth around $30 million, told police that he was held prisoner in the townhouse for 3 weeks as the men tried various twisted methods to get him to reveal the code to his Bitcoin wallet. And we've heard some of these accusations already. A new one in this article is holding a chainsaw to his leg. Hello, I see in the chat, movie of the week has written, marching powder is a hell of a powder. Yes, I think you're onto the story already. This is going to come up in some of these subsequent articles that the crypto bros were not just in playing with crypto. They were playing with something else that starts with the letter C, champagne being one of those things, and something that, because of YouTube standards and practices, I'm not going to be saying what it actually is. We like to use the euphemism marching powder, the kind of thing that makes you want to go, go, go. And boy, they did. And that could be a very good explanation for why the crypto bros might have been motivated to engage in some over-the-top behaviors against their business partner and supposed friend. But again, we're getting a bit ahead of things, so let's get back to the article. So now a chainsaw has entered the chat. Okay, so... and dangling him over. Well, this article says allege. The other articles, including the New York Times article, said a staircase. Okay. The ordeal finally ended on Friday. Right. He escaped. He contacted the authorities. It's unclear what individual roles Woelz and Duplessis played in the scheme. An assistant to Woelz, 24-year-old, we went over Folke again. Yes, but what's new in this article is that Beatrice Folke, Woelz's assistant, who was initially arrested and charged with the same kidnapping and torture. However, district attorneys have declined to prosecute her pending further investigation, the New York Post reported. So I assume she's talking and, they were, oh, we'll charge you. Hey, I'll talk. Okay, we won't charge you. You can be a witness and, maybe put these guys behind bars. It seems like that's what happened there. And we'll learn a little bit more about Beatrice and her relationship with Woelz. Maybe not your average assistant to a financial bigwig. Continuing the article, a profile on the business information site Crunchbase says that Duplessis was the co-founder and CEO of Pangea Blockchain Fund, a crypto investment startup. The firm was in the process of liquidation as of last year, according to its site. On Monday, the New York Post reported that a Swiss crypto trader, seemingly referring to Duplessis, was spending Memorial Day partying in the Hamptons before intending to turn himself in on Tuesday. Well, how fortunate that he was able to flee Manhattan ahead of the embarrassing bust that got his partner Woelz dragged out of the townhouse in a bathrobe and not even allowing the man to put on a pair of shoes. What an indignity. But, Duplessis got to party in the Hamptons and then voluntarily turn himself in with lawyers in tow. What a privilege. Woelz, the other alleged accomplice, is known to some as the crypto king of Kentucky, his home state. Sources told NBC New York that Woelz is worth around $300 million. Now, keep in mind, we're talking about the man in the orange on the lower left hand of your screen. That guy is worth $300 million. That guy Weaselboro is the crypto king of Kentucky. Now, I know some people don't tend to think of Kentucky as a place you would think of as, a milieu of billionaires and crypto kings and whatnot. But there's a lot of money in Kentucky, a lot of horse money, horse racing, thoroughbreds, a lot of money. There are incredibly wealthy people in every state of the Union, the United States of America, and but including Kentucky. But this guy, okay, maybe. A relative of Woelz has come to his defense, telling the New York Post that he is a kind, caring, loving person who must have been completely controlled by other people during the torture scheme. Duplessis appears to have been brought up in affluent Greenwich, Connecticut, and has two brothers who have both been involved in crypto schemes, public records suggest. His father, James, has a career in finance, including dealing in distressed debts. Yes. One of his brothers. And I think we're going to save digging into the background of Duplessis and Woelz for our next episode. But indeed, Duplessis' father does work in finance. His one brother is a actor, producer, writer type. Even has a page on IMDb. Duplessis comes from supposedly what you would call a nice family, house in Greenwich indeed. And here, why don't we just go ahead and do that? I'll pull up my Google Maps and you can see where these events are actually taking place. So I mentioned that Nolita was where the house. This is the house, 38 Prince Street. You can see it right here. And if I were to let me pull up my other window. We'll go back to the article. I'll just scooch this over here behind the Crypto Bros. Now, if I go up on, this one, you can see, and I'm going to have to find another photo because we can actually line up the images in this Google photo with the images that were used to illustrate these articles. You could see there's this building and this building are one and the same. And here, let me go over here. I think it's in the Post article. Where's the one picture? There it is. We will come back to this article. But if you look here, check that out. There's the Soho Garden. You can see it right here, looking much the same as it is in this image. This is 38 Prince right here, the townhouse. And if you look very, very carefully in this photo, all the way to the left, there's I think it's a Kia automobile. This automobile right here, it is the same. Oh, if we click, there we go. Now you can see it a little bit better. It's the same vehicle. You can even tell the orange license plate. It's blurred out, but it's the same grille. It's the same color car. And you might think, well, that's not unusual that people park out in front of their homes. It's probably a resident's car. But this image was taken in 2023 and this was taken in 2025. So I just think it's funny that in 2 years, the car is basically in the exact same location for the photo. And there's the Soho Garden, which it would be incredibly convenient if you're, partying as hard as these guys definitely were, to have what is a 24-hour bodega deli right next to your home. You know, they're up in the middle of the night, they're partying, they want probably a pack of smokes, maybe some snacks. You know, you can just send someone out next door, boom, and they even have an ATM in case you need that. So perfect. And if you would like to see the neighborhood, if you're not familiar with Nolita or Manhattan, ironically, the building next to them has a Christian cross on it, probably because this is affiliated, or was back in the day, with the church. They were right across from a church. And so it looks, I don't know if you can tell, this is actually a very nice neighborhood. It would be fantastic to not have, this is going to be fairly quiet because no businesses, especially after hours. And you can kind of see, this is the neighborhood. I mean, I guess it looks pretty basic, but this is a very Prince Street, very, very nice, very expensive. It's a little, I think if we go down here, you can see the Diptyque boutique. For some reason, Google Maps throws you right like into the wall over here. But yeah, don't mind the graffiti. It is New York after all. But yes, you can tell Diptyque candles, sort of pricey. Let's go back to Prince. There we go. And if you want to see where it is in Manhattan, there's Manhattan. That's Central Park. And as you can see, down, there's the Village. There's Soho. And Nolita is this little area here. It's not labeled. So you might think it's still Soho, but it's Nolita. So there you go. There they are. And this is, here, let me put this in. It's actually a big unit, if, so to speak. The property, it said 8 bedrooms. I think I read another article that said 10. And the building actually goes all the way back. And yes, you can see Archbishop Hughes Center right next to the Crypto Bros alleged torture palace, and definitely party palace. This is a back deck, so it's at least like 3, maybe 4 stories, with a basement level, and that's like a fire pit and some seating and a kitchen. I believe we have an article that will actually show a little bit more what the house looks like. And if we don't get to that, Movie of the Week in the chat says that's a really nice neighborhood. Yes, it's sometimes hard to tell in New York what's a nice neighborhood. Sometimes the nicest neighborhoods don't look so great on the street level. But yes, this is a very, very expensive and surrounded by very, very pricey real estate. So anyway, so the idea that it would cost $30,000 or $40,000 a month to rent, the amount of space in that property, especially if you can see how far back it goes, like, yeah, definitely. You would pay a pretty penny for that much space. And while we're on the Google map, well, actually, I'll come back to that. They mentioned that Duplessis grew up in Greenwich. And as a matter of fact, this was no longer his family's house for a short time, or for a certain period of time. Obviously, they don't live there any longer. Let's see. Can take a look at some of the pictures. You can see it's listed right now at just under $8.5 million, 9 bedroom, 6.5 bathroom, just over 7,500 square feet. The property itself, like the lot, is not large. You're not going to get a lot of property, generally speaking, in Greenwich. You're paying for the house and the location. And this is a lovely house, but I can definitely tell you it's an older house and not classic, lovely, but there are much more modern, updated, and fancy schmancy modern houses. This is an old, classic, lovely house that probably has been retrofitted and updated and modernized year in and over the years by the various owners, but still, as you can see, retains the proportions and the smaller ceilings and whatnot. But that is where William's family lived for at least a time. And yes, 1.19 acres. That's not huge, but you're paying mostly for location. And to show that, here we go. Let me move this over. This is Bellhaven, the neighborhood in Greenwich where the house is located. And as you can see, it's almost it's like an island, not quite, but it's cut off by Route 95, and I think there are railroad tracks along here too. It's a gated community. Lots of well-to-do and occasionally well-known people have resided there, and I think perhaps what has made Belhaven mostly famous is this is the location, if you are familiar with the unaliving, the tragic unaliving of Martha Moxley, that was allegedly, he was convicted. The conviction was overturned. I think he's out now. So I don't know what we would say, but Michael Skakel, a then teenaged cousin of the Kennedy family, one of Ethel Kennedy's nephews, was accused of having committed the unaliving while he was still a minor, a teenager. It's a whole story. That's a whole subject for a show or a series in the future. But if you are familiar with the Martha Moxley, Michael Skakel case, they were living in Belhaven, this neighborhood, when that took place many, many decades ago. No connection, obviously, to the Crypto Bro case, other than this is the neighborhood. This is how, Tony and exclusive it is. You can see the Belhaven Club down here, Yacht Club over here, and the house that Duplessis' family lived in. That's this one right here. You can see another house being built just below it. And even though the lot, as you can see, none of these lots is really massive, pardon me, I think the only way that the house could be in a better location is if it were literally on the water. So this is about as good as it gets. And this is, here, just to show you, I'll do it with this map. Down here is Manhattan again, just so you could see the distance. Here's Greenwich, that's Connecticut, that's Long Island. And down here is Manhattan. The big green thing in the center is, of course, Central Park. And then Nolita, where Prince Street over here is down here. So there you go. There are the two properties. And then Greenwich up here. Proximity to New York costs a pretty penny. Okay, now let's get back to our articles. I'm just going to move this over here. And where were we? Oh, I think we were still here. No, we had finished that one. Okay. So this is the New York Times from, let's get the date, May 27. And this, obviously, Duplessis looking less relaxed than in this. Well, actually, he just looks like an angry Frankenbro. So angry Frankenbro here. Walking in to meet the police with his attorneys, and then here he is, jacket gone, in handcuffs, being perp walked. And I do love that you have this gentleman here with the actual camera, a camera up, camera around his neck, the bag over here, and then just the ladies with the camera phone, the cameras on their phones, traveling light, getting the shot, and this guy, he's like old fashioned, old school. Kind of enjoy the big old school cameras on this poor guy. That's a lot of weight. The ladies traveling light. So, okay, there's some redundant information in this article, but there's some little new details that come out. Another suspect is charged in Bitcoin kidnapping and torture case. The man, William Duplessis, surrendered to the police Tuesday morning. Authorities have said the victim was an Italian man who was tormented in a luxury Manhattan townhouse for weeks. Okay, a third person accused of kidnapping a man and torturing him for nearly 3 weeks to steal his Bitcoin fortune surrendered to the police in New York City on Tuesday morning, Police Commissioner Jessica S. Tisch said. And yes, that's of the Tisch family, like the Tisch School at NYU and, well, many other things. Okay, some of this is redundant, so I'm going to kind of skip over the redundancies, although notice that Duplessis has connections not only to Switzerland, but also Miami. He spent days negotiating his surrender with the police department after the arrest on Friday of two other suspects, that being Waltz and Folke. And so he spent days negotiating his surrender. Why did he get to negotiate his surrender, but Waltz was just perp walked in bare feet and a bathrobe in front of... Why was Duplessis allowed to party in the Hamptons? Do you honestly think that the police wouldn't just go and pick him up. They absolutely could if they wanted to. I mean, okay, it is a massive hassle to get from Manhattan all the way out to the Hamptons. It's all the way on the far end of Long Island. But nonetheless, if they really, really wanted him, I mean, this is rather a serious case, is it not? I would have thought that they would have gone to pick him up. But I think we're going to learn a little something about people working, someone who was working with Duplessis and Woelz. And maybe that's why. Maybe that's a connection that explains why at least one of these gentlemen was allowed to party in the Hamptons while negotiating the terms of his surrender. And I'm not exactly sure what those terms would be, since he was perp-walked anyway, and he did get charged, so I don't know what he got out of it, but okay. Let's continue. Duplessis was arraigned in Manhattan Criminal Courthouse on Tuesday night and charged with kidnapping, a crime that carries a maximum sentence of 25 years to life in prison. He was also charged with assault, unlawful imprisonment, and criminal possession of a weapon. He was held without bail. One of the people arrested on Friday, John Woelz, 37, a cryptocurrency investor, faces kidnapping, assault, and firearms charges. The other, Beatrice Folchi, 24, who was initially charged rape, released, and her prosecution was deferred, probably deferred based on her level of cooperation. That would be my assumption. Shortly before 11:30 a.m., Mr. Duplessis, in handcuffs and flanked by two detectives, was walked out of a precinct house on East 21st Street in Manhattan. Wearing a white polo shirt and black pants, Mr. Duplessis did not respond to questions as he was placed in a waiting police cruiser. The episode burst into public view on Friday morning when the victim, an Italian man named Michael Valentino Teofrasto Cartaran, escaped from a lavish 17-room townhouse in the Nolita neighborhood of Manhattan. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we know this. Mr. Cartaran and Mr. Woelz had ties to a crypto hedge fund in New York, according to an internal police report relayed by a third law enforcement official. But Mr. Cartaran and Mr. Woelz fell out over money, and Mr. Cartaran flew to Italy, according to the report. Soon after, Mr. Woelz persuaded him to return to New York. Mr. Cartaran arrived at the townhouse at 38 Prince Street on May 6, where he was captured and held by Mr. Woelz and Ms. Folchi, the report said. They wanted the password to a Bitcoin wallet worth millions, the report said. And here is the upper front door. There's another door down here on the ground level to 38 Prince. Mr. Cartaran was bound with electrical cords and whipped with a weapon, according to the report. The attackers also submerged his feet in water and used a taser to jolt him with electricity. At points, they also, I'll put this in child speak, did a number one on him. Forced him to smoke a version of marching powder that it rhymes with whack. And it used to be called whack. Back in, what was it, the 80s? They used to say, this is whack because it rhymes. And they were trying to keep children from doing it. Well, in this case, it did not work. So he's claiming they forced him to smoke it. That allegation, there is evidence that may contradict that, but that's coming. We may have to wait until episode 2 to get to that, the opposite side of the story, the alternate theory on what happened in the townhouse. And there are receipts. Inside the town. Oh, okay. And yes, they threatened to unalive his family, prosecutors said. And we know that already. Okay, so here we go. Inside the townhouse, which was recently listed for rent at $75,000 a month. So we went from $30,000 to $40,000, and now it's $75,000 a month. Well, I suppose with all of the attention, they could perhaps even charge $100,000 a month now. Who wouldn't want to rent the crypto bro alleged torture house? Investigators discovered photographs. Yes, we heard about the Polaroids of Mr. Cartaran being, tortured, as well as several weapons that hurl projectiles, a ballistic vest, chicken wire, broken furniture, and traces of blood, much of it on the third floor of the home, according to the report and prosecutors. Mr. Carteran said that as he rebuffed his captor's demands, the assaults escalated, and he was carried to the top of the 5-story home and suspended over the ledge. After his escape, he told the police. So, surveillance video aired by NBC4 shows Mr. Carteran rushing for help in the moments after he fled the townhouse on Friday. In the video, he lopes barefoot down the sidewalk in apparent distress. Well, okay, if Woelz did actually harm this man, then I suppose he got what he deserved. If Carteran had to run out onto the Manhattan sidewalk in bare feet, then I suppose, turnabout is fair play. Woelz had to do the same. So I hope he actually did do something unpleasant to Carteran because, again, barefoot on a New York City sidewalk. Ugh, gross. Mr. Carteran can be seen wearing black athletic shorts and a black polo shirt and clutching a small black bag as he bounds on his heels toward the officer. At the arraignment, Mr. Duplessis' lawyer, Sanford Talkin, asked the judge to allow his client to be released to stay in Florida. Oh, it's the Diddy, it's the Diddy request. Can we please be allowed out so that we can hang out in Florida? With his father, James Duplessis, who sat in the courtroom on Tuesday evening. Oh, what a proud father. The facts here are hotly disputed. His involvement is hotly disputed, Mr. Talkin said. The judge, Julieta Lozano, denied the request. Yes, and he got the Diddy answer. Denied. You're staying in custody. Mr. Talkin and Mr. Duplessis' father declined to comment after the arraignment. Mr. Woelz's lawyer, Wayne Irvin Gosnell Jr., and Mr. Woelz's mother also declined to comment on the case. Efforts to reach a lawyer for Ms. Folke were unsuccessful. And then this just goes on to talk about other attacks on crypto executives, etc. That's not super relevant, although it does mention that someone being, a family attacked, someone found in the trunk of a car, another French man kidnapped and had a severing of a digit, shall we say. Okay, so yes, crypto, I guess, can be dangerous. Continuing. Mr. Duplessis is an entrepreneur and a co-founder of Pangea Blockchain Fund, an investment firm based in Lugano, Switzerland, that he launched with his father and another relative, Stephen Duplessis, in 2019, according to archived pages of the company's website. The fund raised $19 million to invest in tech companies committed to building impactful blockchain solutions, according to its LinkedIn page. Pangea is currently liquidating its positions, according to the site, which is now a single page. So I guess we're saying that's a defunct company? William Duplessis roamed from state to state in the past decade, holding addresses in California, Louisiana, which apparently he's the Tulane grad, so I guess that would make sense, Kentucky, which is where Woelz is from. He's the crypto king of Kentucky, allegedly, and Florida. Yes, they said he had connections to Miami. According to public records, his arrest on Tuesday is not his first brush with the court system. Uh-oh, naughty boy. Complaints against Mr. Duplessis in Connecticut, where, of course, his family lived in Greenwich, and in Miami, hint at a life of luxury underpinned by recklessness and debt. In one complaint from 2023, a car leasing company sued Mr. Duplessis for failing to make the $3,690 a month payments on a 2018 Lamborghini Huracan. In another complaint from that year, he was sued for failing to pay rent on a furnished home in Miami and then leaving it in a state of disrepair. How rude. This December, Mr. Duplessis was also sued for violently rear-ending another car while driving a 2016 Porsche Cayman in Miami. He has also received 8 traffic violations in Miami since December 2021, according to public records. The link between Mr. Duplessis and Mr. Woelz is unclear, but public records show that Mr. Duplessis spent time in Smithland, Kentucky, and hold on to that little bit of information. Smithland, Kentucky. That's where they raided not one, but 2 properties. It was a huge thing, and it was crazy. I was actually working on this story weeks ago, last month in June, not long after the arrests, and I was doing work. I was prepping a show, and I just happened to stumble upon not anonymous, but an article, a news article that said there was a breaking news. There's a raid on a property in Kentucky. And I went, that's crazy. And it was like, oh, it's the ATF, it's the FBI, and it's the NYPD. And I went, wait a minute. Weaselbro, he's from Kentucky. I wonder if this has anything to do with him. But they didn't say anything about that. And then they did. It was wild. And we're going to get to that in a little bit. And it was wild. They had all these agencies. They raided the properties. And it's been like zip. Nothing has come out since then. So I'm really waiting for more to come out. I am really excited for more to come out because the story just gets wilder and wilder. Okay, so Smithland, Kentucky, about 20 miles from Mr. Waltz's hometown, Paducah. Mr. Woelz in 2020 told the Paducah Sun, a local newspaper, that after he graduated from the University of Kentucky, he had moved west and begun to invest in Silicon Valley startups. And of course, here is Woelz, barefoot, in the bathrobe, outside the 38 Prince Street townhouse with the NYPD. Okay, so back to the article. His tech career appeared to take off quickly. In 2018, a John Woelz was part of a winning team at the ETH Global San Francisco Hackathon, according to a post by the organization. He and his teammates built a robot that could cast absentee ballots for college students. Well, gee, what could go wrong there? Actually, that's wild. That sounds like you could really engage in some kind of voter fraud with something like that. Not exactly sure how that works, but okay. In 2020, Mr. Woelz gave $10,000 to Sprocket, a nonprofit that sought to bring tech companies to the Paducah area, according to the interview with The Sun. At the time, Mr. Woelz said he was the managing director of Silicon Valley Capital, an investment fund focused on blockchain technology. When I grew up in Paducah, there just wasn't a clear path for me locally in tech, Mr. Woelz said in the interview. After graduating from UK and University of Kentucky, not the United Kingdom, I packed my bags and headed for Silicon Valley because that's what you had to do then to succeed in the industry. In recent years, Kentucky has become a player in the cryptocurrency mining industry, and Mr. Woelz was tapped to join a working group under its State Office of Technology. So he has, this seems pretty big. He's got some political connections, it sounds like. The group was set up by Kentucky lawmakers to use blockchain technology to protect natural gas pipelines, telecommunications, and other infrastructure, according to its 2024 annual report. But Mr. Woelz's interactions with the group in recent years were limited. In interviews with the New York Times, 2 participants said that Mr. Woelz served only as an advisory member. So that's the end of that New York Times article. A little bit more information. And now we go back to, there we are, Soho Garden, free advertising. More New York Post and more details. So more details come out. And I notice that we've been going for just about an hour. This is a perfect time to remind everyone, if you're listening, this is Friendship Empire. I am the Empress, and we would love it if you would hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe, and leave a comment in the chat if you are here with us live, or under the video if you are catching us on the replay. Please help us in our march to become monetized so that we can offer more functionality on the YouTube page, more options for subscribers and users, and that will be really cool. So thank you for that, and thank you for joining us again. Let's get back to this story. This is part 1 of our new series on crypto bros gone wild, and this really is going to go deep. This first episode is just a sort of dipping the toe in the water, familiarizing you, if you are not aware of the case itself. And then in subsequent episodes, we're going to go into a more deep dives on the little threads that connect to this specific case. Okay, so the headline: Italian crypto torture victim came to New York City to reclaim Bitcoin that thieves stole under unaliving threat, only to then be taken hostage, according to the DA. So this is crazy. They'd already allegedly stolen some money from this guy, and he decided, sorry, movie of the week in the chat, I didn't see your comment. Wonder how that could be abused. I assume you're talking about the robot that can cast absentee ballots. To be honest, I didn't read that article because I wasn't super interested in at that moment in a voting robot, VoteBot. But now I feel like I need to go back and look and see exactly how shady that concept may be. I'm not super up on all the technology aspects of this. I'm also a little unclear how, and I don't know if you know, movie of the week, how blockchain technology could be used to protect natural gas and infrastructure and communications for the state of Kentucky, but okay, I suppose that's a thing. I don't really know. But, okay, back to this New York Post article, and the photograph, the image here is a still from the security camera that captured, this is Carteran, his head is blocked out here, but you can see barefoot barefoot on the New York City sidewalk, and you can see the garbage cans. And you know what goes near garbage cans in New York? Rats. Really big, gross ones. So please, honestly, I wouldn't even recommend wearing like open shoes. Ladies, you're wearing your sandals, you're wearing your flip-flops. Gents, you're wearing your sandals, your flip-flops. It's not, I wouldn't recommend it, but you know, God bless if you do. Okay. So, continuing the article, the pair of hard partying, and yes, they were, we'll get to that, crypto bros accused of sadistically torturing an Italian millionaire lured him to New York City with the promise of returning Bitcoin they had allegedly stolen from him, only to then keep him hostage for weeks in a twisted bid to siphon the rest, prosecutors alleged. Now, if they had stolen the Bitcoin from him initially, why didn't he contact authorities? Why didn't he call the police? He thought maybe he could just work it out between friends. I don't know. And especially one of the previous articles mentioned that one or both of the crypto bros had been violent with Carteran in the past. So you think that he really wouldn't want to be in the physical presence of these men coming from Italy back to New York City just to try to get his money back when he could call the authorities? Unless, of course, there were some really good reason why you might not want the authorities to look into whatever you're doing. Well, that's certainly possible. Movie of the week in the chat says, communications, well, blockchain is a shared ledger, so there's a high degree of redundancy similar to the design of the internet, so that might have something to do with it. Okay, I don't know. All right, let's get back. Okay, Michael Valentino Teofrasto Carteran, 28, had been forced to cough up the Bitcoin after John Woelz and William Duplessis allegedly threatened to unalive his family. Again, why didn't he contact the authorities? Very serious. Did he not have evidence of this? Could he not? Well, how did they tell him? By phone, I guess? No record? After John Woelz, and yes, the Manhattan district attorney Amanda Blott revealed in court this week. The crypto crooks then allegedly told Carteran, who was worth some $30 million, he'd have to come back to the Big Apple if he wanted them to return the e-currency. Now, why would they? Just because he comes to New York? Why? Oh, we'll come here and we'll give it back. No, you give it back now, or I'm calling the authorities. That would tend to be the normal response, I would think. Carteran, and if you have $30 million, I imagine you can, hire good lawyers, maybe private detective to help you out with these things. Carteran, who was from Turin, was picked up from the airport. Now here, ding, 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 ding. Here we go. Here's another connection. Here's a weird one. He was picked up from the airport by an off-duty NYPD detective doing security on the site and brought to the duo's 8-bedroom Prince Street home on May 6, according to sources and prosecutors. So the crypto bros, Woelz and Duplessis, had an off-duty NYPD detective as security. Now, it is not unusual in the least for any kind of police officer to pick up off-duty work, doing security for, celebrities hire off-duty police officers. Anyone with any kind of, money or status or connections in any town, small or large, will often hire off-duty police officers to do security for big events or that sort of thing. It's not necessarily a weird or suspicious or unusual thing. And it isn't, technically illegal, I suppose, as long as the officers aren't engaging in illegal work in their off-duty, hours. However, considering what was going on at the townhouse, not just with the alleged violence against Carteran, but the extracurriculars that were being engaged in, it's not a good look. Let's put it that way. It's beyond not a good look. And when we find out who this detective was, and they don't name the detective, however, who he was also working for, it gets weird. Okay. So scrolling down. Woelz and Duplessis allegedly grabbed Carteran's passport, cell phone, restrained him. And again, here they call it Soho. It's not Soho, it's Nolita. 17 days, broke free. Okay, so now here we go. Here's the cop. Here's who the cop was. Here's who he was working for. Sources also said that the cop who picked Carteran up at the airport and brought him to the Soho pad had served as a member of Mayor Eric Adams' security detail and has now been placed on modified duty. Eric Adams is currently the mayor of New York City, but there's a mayoral race that is currently going on. He may not stay the mayor for much longer. It remains to be seen. If you are not up on New York City politics, Mayor Adams is a Democrat, but he is currently running as an independent because he has sort of fallen out with his party over the issue of immigration. And so he is up for re-election, but again, running as an independent, and he has both a Democrat and a Republican opponent running against him. So there's that. But we will look at why a connection to Mayor Adams is important, and how we create a big loop back from the crypto bros to Eric Adams and back again in just one more step. But I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, continuing the article. A police search of the spacious townhouse uncovered those Polaroid pics of the Italian trader's torment, including one with we'll call it a whack pipe, shoved in his, I believe this is a typo. I don't think it was his mount. I imagine it was shoved in his mouth while being held down, and another showing him with the bang bang pointed at his head, the DA's office said. And see why I call him Weaselbro? He looks a little weaselly, right? This guy, That's Frankenbro. You see, look at the demeanor, the difference in demeanor. This man, shame. This man, he's scary. And he's like apparently well over 6 feet tall. This guy does not look physically intimidating, like in the least. This guy's scary. He looks scary. Okay. Continuing here. We'll leave Scary Bro up. Frankenbro. Woelz, 33, and Duplessis, 37. Allegedly, okay, yes, again, they allegedly threatened to unalive Carteran's family and warned him that if he escaped, they would track him down and unalive him while demanding his Bitcoin password. Finally, after being dangled from the top of a staircase, he agreed to provide his password, but fled to freedom when Woelz allegedly went to fetch his laptop, prosecutors revealed. So I guess we were meant to understand that he was not restrained at that point. He was free to move about. And despite there being security, butlers, Duplessis, Woelz, Folky, who knows who else in the house, he was able to make a clean escape. Okay. Movie of the week in the chat says, Frankenbro is appropriate. He looks scary. He did not look maybe he looked a little creepy, kind of creepy in the video that we showed earlier in the stream, but he didn't look scary, like a guy who would, twist the head off of a small child or something. But quite frankly, the man in court, the man who's been arrested, he totally looks like someone who could do that. And when you look at the contrast, look at the photo down on the left-hand side of the screen, when Waltz's family, the Woelz being the guy in the orange, say that, oh, he must have been controlled by someone. Well, when the guy next to him is this, giant, scary dude, you think, well, who knows? Maybe Duplessis did, intimidate Woelz. I don't know that that's true. I don't necessarily believe that, but, you could maybe think that. Typical kind of like bully toady relationship, it looks like, but who knows what their actual relationship was like. Movie of the week in the chat says, letting the guy free before he gives you the key seems like a rookie mistake. Yeah, I don't know what's up with these guys. There's clearly a lot more going on to this story. It's not as cut and dried as these articles would kind of have you believe, and you can see it through these little bits and pieces that come out. But okay, let's continue and see if there's anything more. Okay, I think a lot of this is, here, this is a little new. In court, Manhattan prosecutors said cops searched the townhouse and found a chainsaw, some whack, we're calling that form of marching powder whack, body armor, night vision goggles, ballistic helmets, a bang bang with ammo, and an array of photos of Carteran's harrowing weeks-long ordeal. Now, to be honest, there are some videos that have come out from the townhouse with Carteran and at least Duplessis. I don't know that the entire time he was in the townhouse it could be described as exactly harrowing for him, but we'll get to that. We might have to get to that next episode because we're already past an hour, but I don't want to go too long today, but I do want to get the picture, paint the sort of the scenario set up so that you can really get a picture of what we're looking at, and then we'll go into the details next time. Okay, so this is Beatrice Folky, the assistant to John Woelz. She was arrested, and they have, what did they say? They deferred her prosecution. They've put the charges on hold. She was charged with much the same as Woelz was, but they have deferred that. Presumably, she is cooperating with the authorities. So, according to sources, Woelz, dubbed the Crypto King of Kentucky, and the hulking Duplessis, yes, hulking, lived a pricey party lifestyle, boozing it up at high-end Manhattan night spots and hosting all-night raves inside the rented Soho townhouse, which is actually in Nolita. And we have documentation. These guys were not low-key at all. They should have been fairly well known in the circles they were traveling in. Let's put it that way. In court, yes, Carteran was taken to Bellevue Hospital for treatment after breaking free. In court Thursday, Woelz's lawyer argued for his client to be released on a $2 million bond, claiming reports that his client owned a private jet and a chopper was not true. I ask you, does this look like the crypto king of Kentucky? Does this look like a man with access to a private jet? Does he? I don't see it, but okay. All right. Let me get back to... Has never been arrested before, attorney Wayne Gosnell said. He's a 37-year-old man with no prior criminal history. He's a college graduate with a degree in philosophy. He's been very successful in the technology world. He's been supportive of his friends and family. They are all committed in seeing him fight this case, Gosnell added. Not swayed, Judge Kevin McGrath ordered him held without bail pending a return appearance June 11. Kayla Mamalak Altus, Adams' press secretary, that's Mayor Eric Adams, said the mayor's office was disturbed by the allegations. I bet every city employee is expected to follow the law, including our officers, both on and off duty. We are disturbed by these allegations, and as soon as it came to our attention, the officers were placed on modified duty. Now it says officers, plural, not just one. I note that. The investigation is ongoing, she said in a statement. And in all the articles I have read, they have not mentioned who these police officers were. Here they're NYPD carting evidence out of the Prince Street townhouse. I would think that this might be a scandal. And I would think, especially it being an election year in New York City for the mayor, and the mayor running for re-election, he being a controversial candidate at this point, I am kind of surprised that neither of his opponents from either side, the Democrat or the Republican, would use this against him, because it's shady as all get out. It's very suspicious, and it potentially implicates the mayor himself. And you might think, well, why? Why would it implicate the mayor? Yes, one of his security detail was doing security at the Crypto Bros place. But there's a crypto connection, and that will bring us back full circle. So we're getting there. So this is a little color. We'll go into maybe a little bit. We're going to get into more of the Crypto Bros lifestyle, what exactly was going on in the townhouse that we do know of, not just the allegations, not just the criminal complaint. And the tendrils of these connections. How do the Bidens fit into this? How does Epstein fit into this? What do you mean, Real Housewives? Well, if you can see in the video embed in this article, that'll give you a little bit of a clue as to the Real Housewives connections. That's seemingly a frivolous connection, but there may be more to it than meets the eye. So, yes, we will, as you can see, the title of the video embed is New Bravo reality star Charlie Zakur was at the scene of crypto. Yes, he was at the scene of the crypto arrest. Was he there when the arrest occurred? I don't believe that was the case, but he was definitely partying in the house. Okay, so let's read this one. May 28, alleged crypto torture bro William Duplessis once booted from the Ritzy Amman for unknown reason, source. And I guess this is the New York City outpost, the Manhattan outpost of Amman. If you were with us for our stream about the wedding of the century, the Bezos wedding that recently occurred, one of the locations of the guests and the festivities was the Amman in Venice, and now we have the Amman in New York. And if you're not familiar, well, it'll be explained. And there's another scary picture of Crypto Bro. Alleged crypto torturer William Duplessis once did something so allegedly outrageous at the Ritzy Amman in New York City that he was kicked out of the property, a source tells Page Six. Duplessis and fellow accused crypto investor John Woelz, who are facing kidnapping charges over allegations they sadistically tortured an Italian crypto millionaire, Michael Valentino Teofrasto Cartaran, for his Bitcoin password, are said to have once been living at the Luxe 57th Street space, according to TMZ. And there is a photograph of one of the rooms. It says, the swanky spot is a favorite of celebs and royals and offers a private members-only club. Okay, the Amman offers pricey $100,000 private club memberships that include access to areas such as an outdoor space and jazz club. A source tells us they once spotted Duplessis hanging out in the 14th floor members-only area. A source further tells us that Duplessis did something so over the top that the crypto bro and his bud were kicked out. And we hear word of the mysterious incident reached the ears of other hospitality bigs around town who then did not want business from the club-going party bros. Now, it's funny, this article does not mention what he possibly could have done. Now, places, if you spend enough money, a place will deal with anything. They will tolerate pretty much any behavior. So this would have had to have been something, either an affront to a higher status guest, let's say, or just something so ridiculous that they did not want to risk, whatever this guy was doing. Now, do you think that in this private club that people aren't getting spicy? Do you think that people wouldn't be, maybe engaging in some, intimate activities? Do you think that people wouldn't be doing substances? Do you think, I'm sure they're people are going to do these things as long as they keep it, consensual and, everyone's trying to have a good time, whether that's a good time or not. I'm not going to, comment, but it would have to be something not people having fun, I would imagine. But they don't say. Why won't they say? Because the Post must know. So why don't they say? What do you think? And these guys were definitely dropping money all over town. So, this place clearly doesn't need their money. But why? What did they do? And these two guys were both living there. Okay, so what is this place? And if you have eyes on screen, you can see there are indoor pools in this place. Other than the pool water, the whole place seems to be a symphony of beige and tan. The spot is owned by Russian billionaire, nothing shady there, Vladislav Doronin, who paid $135 million for the 12,536 square foot penthouse last year. The global chain is a favorite of Bill Gates, who was at the Bezos wedding, Mark Zuckerberg, the Kardashians, who were all over the Bezos wedding, Angelina Jolie, David Beckham, George and Amal Clooney, Tom Hanks, and members of various royal families. Duplessis and Woelz. Now, that's a complete, we just went from, AAA list, and then Duplessis and Woelz. What? Later moved into a multi-story townhouse in Soho. It's Nolita. It's not Soho, where sources tell us they threw ragers until 7 a.m. This guy. Weasel bro. But that party pad turned into a purported house of horrors when Duplessis and Woelz allegedly tied Cartaran to a chair, whipped him with the bang bang, cut his arms and legs, and dangled him from the top of a staircase, according to authorities. Now, they were accused of using the chainsaw on him. But remember, he didn't have to be treated for any major wounds. And if you saw the still of Cartaran standing on the sidewalk, he didn't appear to have any injuries on his legs. Certainly, he didn't look like he'd been attacked with a chainsaw, which, I mean, maybe you can get... I imagine that even if you get dinged with a moving chainsaw, a running chainsaw, that's going to be just an absolute horror of an injury. I don't really know what was going on, but this is what the article is saying, right? Okay, now here we get a great photo. Remember we heard about the tactical gear, the night vision goggles? Well, here's it looks like no, it doesn't look like Duplessis. It is Duplessis because those are his tats. And wow, he has even more on display than in the thumbnail photo that the image that I used for the thumbnail. You can see some of his tattoos. We can see a few more of him. It looks like a tiger, or a growling tiger down here on his gut. How could he be doing the powder, or well, it's not powder, I guess at that point. How can he be doing whack, if you're with me, and keep this dad bod look? Amazing. But anyway, he's having fun in his tactical gear, in his basketball shorts, I guess. Okay, yes. And again, forcing him to take narcotics, putting his feet in water and shocking him for 17 days. Okay, maybe. Duplessis is facing charges of kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, assault, and weapons possession. He was remanded without bail in court Tuesday night. Right. Oh, and here we go. Here is a picture from inside the townhouse. As you can see, it's, fairly nice. It doesn't look $30,000, $40,000, $75,000 a month nice, but remember, you're getting the entire building. It looks pretty messy. It looks like any after a party kind of a, booze bottles. It looks like wipes. It looks like they have, unless those are, it looks like, Lysol type wipes. 7th generation, maybe. Some tissues, some leftover food, some cans and stuff. It doesn't look crazy, though, honestly. Messy, yeah. Crazy, not bad. Okay, now, I think this is an important line here. He appeared in Manhattan criminal court where his lawyer claimed the 33-year-old crypto trader's criminal case will begin to unravel when more details come out. The facts here are hotly disputed. His involvement is hotly disputed. We're going to look at the disputing of these allegations with evidence on our next episode. Movie of the week in the chat says, I had a friend who hit himself in the leg with a chainsaw. He was laid up for a month. Ouch. Poor your friend. Hopefully he's all recovered and able to walk. I assume that he hit himself in the leg accidentally. Chainsaws are very dangerous and they can be very tricky to use. I think they make like weird leather, like leather pants? Not leather pants, but like some kind of, I almost want to say chainmail, but they're like leather aprons or pants or something that you can buy to help with that sort of thing if you're using like a chainsaw. I forget what they're called, but I've actually seen these things. And so if you're going to be chainsawing, by all means, please avail yourself of some armor, I guess. Chainsaw armor? I don't know what you would call that, but some protective gear, definitely. Okay, so I think this is somewhat redundant. Oh, okay. So now they're saying Talkin asked the judge to release Duplessis on $1 million bail, claiming he would not flee the Big Apple. I thought they said he was going to be in Florida with his father. Here it says he'd stay in New York City with his father. He also said his client would live with his dad, who attended the hearing, and was willing to wear an ankle monitor. If he was a risk of flight, he wouldn't have gotten an attorney. That doesn't follow. Talkin told the judge he would have been out of here. Duplessis' next court date is Friday. Woelz has been arraigned on the same charges and is being held without bail at Rikers Island. Oh, that's just awful. Rikers is good. I mean, no jail or prison isn't really nice. Rikers is a nightmare. But a relative has claimed to the Post that Woelz was manipulated and completely controlled by other people. And while it would be an easy claim to make, I do wonder if there is even a shred of truth in that. So a little bit more on that Amman Resorts. We're not going to read this article, but I thought that photograph was just amazing. Although the infinity pool looks like you would just go off of the edge of it and fall down onto the ground, which is a little creepy. But you can see what a great view, what a great location, what a great pool. Yeah, it just repeats a lot of the same information of the celebrities and whatnot. So there, 3-floor spa. How nice. Okay, so that was supposedly where Duplessis and I guess Woelz too were kicked out after Duplessis did something so unspeakable that the trashy tabloid The New York Post won't even repeat it. I really have to wonder what that was all about. So here is more. There were a lot of articles that were published in the wake of the arrest about how they were partying, they were trashy, and they were just sort of messy, sloppy guys spreading money around and partying. So this is one article from the Post, again, May 28. Crypto bro kidnappers ordered thousands of dollars of fancy food a day and sometimes couldn't even be bothered to bring it inside. Accused kidnappers William Duplessis and John Woelz lived a party bro lifestyle at the Soho townhouse where they allegedly tortured an Italian tourist. Again, not a tourist. He was a business associate. He was a business partner. Sometimes ordering so much fancy food they didn't even bother to bring it inside. Will and John would order about $1,500, $2,000 in food every day. Literally from the best restaurants. They would get delivery food from Nobu, Cipriani, Blue Ribbon, you name it. One visitor to the house told the Post Wednesday. There was one time I came in and it was the funniest thing. They had $600 of Blue Ribbon delivery sitting outside that nobody even got. Oh, that's hilarious, isn't it? Well, hopefully a needy homeless individual wandered by and saw the abandoned food and managed to pick it up. Hopefully someone got some use out of it. Okay, so redundant. There's John Woelz in his bathrobe, and there's Woelz actually wearing clothing, full clothing, being led out of the jail house. Okay. A lot of this is redundant. And they're scary Frankenbro again. And here we go. All right. Here is Duplessis on the left, Frankenbro, and Woelz in the middle. Well, I guess right on the right, because there's a person here, but we can't really see them. Okay. Woelz looks like almost like a lady. I don't know why. Not like a super, femi lady, but like a short-haired lady not wearing makeup. What is this outfit? If anyone can clue me in on what, it looks like he's wearing something odd. Maybe it's just the light or the lighting. But you can see he's really crypto broing it out at the table full of, he's at the club. That's some club action going on right there. I mean, I feel like I can hear and feel and even maybe smell this photograph. And I think if I could smell it, it would smell a lot like powder, but you catch my drift. Okay, the visitor to Woelz's rented townhouse described a lavish scene at the property where police reportedly found We've heard about the Polaroids. Yes, they found all of these things. They had every type of liquor. $1,000 bottles of wine, $20,000 of liquor, including Pappy Van Winkle, said the visitor. I think it's hysterical that a incredibly high-end alcohol is called Pappy Van Winkle, which sounds like, I don't know, hooch from a still in, someone's, from like the woods in Kentucky, like way, way out. Okay, they were always smoking weed at the house. Well, that's not unusual in New York, to the point that they set off the smoke detector. That is unusual. I can't imagine how much they could have possibly been smoking that they couldn't have just opened a window. You're not going to get arrested, not in New York City, for, marijuana smoke being smelled coming out of your house. It's not going to happen, especially not these guys, and especially not when they have NYPD doing security for them. But Yeah, that's crazy. The scene lined up with one crypto insider's description of Duplessis, who was from Miami. Well, he was from Greenwich at some point, but also said to have ties to Switzerland. Yes, Lugano. He and his father and another relative have had a company there. And get ready. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to. I saw it, so now you're seeing it. Here's William. And we can analyze this this image. Okay, he's wearing sunglasses that may or may not be a lady friend sunglasses. He's doing I seem to recall this as a patented 1980s Billy Idol sneer. He's flipping the bird with a dirty fingernail. Yuck. He's shirtless. Maybe in a club. That's what it says. It says shirtless in a club dancing with a lady on his shoulders. Well, we can't see the lady right now, but I guess he's still at the club. His tattoos. Let's go over the ones we can see. We saw the roaring tiger head on his dad belly. He has the seal of the Commonwealth of Kentucky over here. It's our left. I guess that's his right. What look like two leopards, yes. Two leopards in the middle. And then the no step on snack Gadsden flag snake with some arrows. Over here on his shoulder, I think it's like a cow skull, but it has these weird protrusions on the side that kind of like... So it ends up looking like a combination of a cow skull and the old Van Halen logo, the band logo. And he's clutching at least two Beanie Babies. He's sneering. He's flipping the bird. He's shirtless. And he's cuddling a couple Beanie Baby teddy bears. I don't know how to explain this photo, but okay. There you go. Okay, I saw him at parties. He was quite the partier, said the insider, who recalled douchey Duplessis' days in Miami, including at the Fontainebleau Hotel. He struck me as a little Wolf of Wall Street, I think would be the right way to phrase it. Like if you gave a frat guy $100 million. He drank a lot. He was hitting on girls a lot, sometimes obnoxiously and in a rude sense. Wait. This guy? Wait, this guy? Wait, this guy? You're telling me that guy's a douche? No. I mean, it vibes off the screen, does it not? Okay. And there's was it 38 Prince Street again? I mean, look, it's lovely, right? It's a lovely building. Lovely space. Oh, I'm trying to scroll down. Okay, here we go. Yes, they partied like every day was their last. Well, the way they were partying could very well have been, unfortunately, for them. And here they give the $30,000 to $40,000 a month rental estimate, although we've also seen $75,000. Saw plenty of people coming in and out, including some well-known socialites, who I'm sure will want to keep their names out of any of this reporting. Were any of them in any of the Polaroids? A video obtained by TMZ shows Duplessis dancing shirtless in a club with a woman on his shoulders, revealing, well, we saw his tattoos. Duplessis and Woelz are also pictured partying at The Box. What a name. An exclusive erotic nightclub in Manhattan, where if they were there, there's nothing erotic about it. Come on now. Where they would reportedly drop up to $100,000 in a single night before inviting girls back to the Prince Street townhouse. What a hey, ladies, want to come back to the townhouse? That's a hard no. Okay. And this is the images we're seeing here. This is Carteran on the sidewalk after having fled the townhouse and gotten assistance from NYPD. You can see his legs. He does not appear to have any injuries, but of course this is really, lousy security camera footage still. So there you go. Okay, here we go. Here's our Real Housewives connection, if you were waiting for it. Another alleged guest was Charlie Zakour, a club kid turned crypto trader. A club kid in this day and age? I guess we're just using that generically, not the old school, the OG club kids back in the, back then they were actually unaliving people who got mixed up with them. In this case, I guess Carteran got off easy. Charlie Zakour, a club kid turned crypto trader. Remember what I said about it, trustworthiness and sales? Would you buy a used car from this guy? Would you buy crypto from this guy? Who was one of the stars of a new Bravo reality show, because we desperately needed another one. A video from Waltz's arrest Friday shows a blonde man looking concerned, as cops led Carteran away from the Soho townhouse. Page 6 reported the man is Zakour, whose show, Next Gen NYC, premieres June 3. Well, this is a really odd way for Bravo to get publicity. If this is some kind of like rogue publicity stunt for their lousy TV show, that would be nuts. I'm guessing maybe this isn't, any publicity is good publicity in this sense. Maybe. The series, according to Bravo's website, follows a tangled web of friends raised in the spotlight, or at least close enough for good lighting. As they stumble into adulthood, one brunch, breakup, and spontaneous decision at a time. Oh, goodness. As though they need the cameras and the producers of a reality show to encourage them to make any worse decisions. Okay, so this is Charlie. With a very well composed photograph that he's posing in. And here's Charlie with some kind of bandage on his nose and a lady at the 2025 Met Gala after party. Okay, I'm guessing this isn't one populated by the A-listers. This looks a little low rent, low tier. I guess this is for the D-listers, the not quite listers. I don't know. Although her dress is nice, if a bit. Okay. The cast includes, names of people I see, but never hear about. Let me see if I can get these names right. The cast includes Gia Giudice, whichever it is, whose mom, Teresa, is a longtime fixture on The Real Housewives of New Jersey. Ariana Bierman, daughter of The Real Housewives of Atlanta star Kim Zolciak. How do you say that? Zolciak Bierman. I know this woman. I see her name, her face. I don't watch these shows. Ava Dash, the daughter of Rockefeller Records co-founder Damon Dash, and fashion designer Rachel Roy, and Riley Burris, whose mom, Candy, formerly of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. While Zakour isn't, so they're Nepo babies, yes. Well, Zakour isn't a reality show Nepo baby. He does come from enormous privilege. Mom Elizabeth Williams is an art collector in Palm Beach, and Dad, Anwar Zakour, who has an address in Manhattan, is a private investor who has held high-profile roles at JP Morgan, Citibank, and Bank of America Merrill Lynch, where he was the global head of technology, media, and telecommunications investment banking. Yeah, that's a good spot. A good job if you can get it. And here, so this looks like the basement of the townhouse. They say Soho, it's Nolita, whatever, Prince Street. And I was actually very disappointed because I think that this just looks like the basement of any furnished suburban house. Like, this could be anybody's basement if you have a large enough space. And they clearly tried to make it like a version of a club. You see like the sofas, the little tables, and then they put like the DJ area over here. But it just looks shabby. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's the filter on the photograph, but this just looks like flooring that you could get at like a Home Depot or Lowe's. It just doesn't look that glamorous. It certainly doesn't look $30,000 to $40,000 to $75,000 a month in rent, nice. But I suppose if you put in some mood lighting, you got the music kicking, and, well, I suppose with enough substances, you won't notice how meh the actual room looks. I would expect better, is what I'm saying, for guys who can drop $100,000 in a night at a club, but okay. They went cheap on the furniture at home so they could drop money at the clubs, I guess. And there's the picture of the kitchen again, which, it's just a little messy. It's not the worst thing in the world, right? Page 6 previously reported that Zakur, who is not implicated in the alleged crimes, but possibly should be. I mean, was he a witness? What happened there? Would sometimes crash at Waltz's luxurious Prince Street pad. Crash. His dad has a Manhattan address. He's signed to a Bravo reality television show. He's a crypto trader. He surely doesn't want for money. You would think that he could crash at his own place, or maybe at his girlfriend's place or something. I assume he has some, lady, a lady, maybe the lady in that photograph above. Why would he be crashing at this place? Maybe passing out, falling asleep after having a long night, after one of those ragers. On Wednesday, a source said that Zakur is known as the Chuck Bass of Next Gen NYC, a reference to Ed Westwick's bad boy character from Gossip Girl. I didn't watch that show, but I'm familiar enough with it to know that you don't want to be compared to Chuck Bass. That's not complimentary. That's not positive. We didn't see him at his job on the show. He's just a kid making it in Manhattan like the other kids. Which other kids? The other Nepo baby kids? Not like every other kid in New York. The source said, adding that filming has been done for a long time, and I don't think anyone on the show has spoken to him since it wrapped. Well, they might not want to now. Another source said told the Post that Zakur knew the accused through the crypto world. The crypto insider said that Duplessis was known, at least, to be a successful person in the space, but admitted that a lot of crypto people are a little obnoxious, and I think Duplessis had that reputation. A little obnoxious. He looks like he might be a little, not that guy, a little bit more than a little, this guy? A little obnoxious? No, you don't say. Okay, let's move on. We're not going to read too much more. We're coming into the home stretch because we've been going almost 2 hours, and this again is going to be a series, multi-parts, more episodes where we're going to go into the story a little bit more and dive deeper into the connections that we have mentioned, the little teasing clues and tidbits, the little crumbs that have been placed throughout these various articles. We're going to look at those connections, and we're going to look at the possible other side of the story here. We've been hearing a lot of damning information about Duplessis, who is on screen right now, well, twice, because he's in the main article and also on the left of that picture down at the left-hand corner, and Waltz, the guy in the orange, on the right-hand side of that little left-hand corner image. But there's another side to the story, of course, and before it potentially the case goes into court and we hear it tried, it's already being a bit debated in the media, and there is another side that maybe the goings-on in the townhouse weren't quite as... Well, they were definitely criminal, but was Carteran the victim that he's alleged to be? Well, we're going to have to look at that side of things on our next episode, but just to give you a little idea of where this is headed in future episodes, this article came out, and this one was nutso to me. June 3rd, 2025, accused crypto torture bro William Duplessis allegedly once dated Joe Biden's niece, Caroline. Now, this was kind of a crazy story because it just sort of came out And I was like, oh my goodness, this is wacky. Because if you're not familiar with Caroline Biden, she's laid low, I guess, in more recent years. But for a while there, she was a bit of a wild child herself and getting into a lot of trouble. And this article will kind of mention some of the trouble we got into. And on a future episode, we are going to look all at Caroline and her various troubles, because she's an interesting gal all on her own. She's a little bit of trouble, a little bit of a hot mess, but seems to have been keeping her nose clean, so to speak, recently. But to imagine, they're floating a rumor. And why? Because there's essentially nothing to support this rumor in the article. It's just talk. There's no photograph of them together. There's no nothing really. And this was sort of brought up, and then boom, no one talked about it. It was not followed up on. Nothing. Just, why did they mention it and then not follow up on it? You be the judge. Let's read the article. Rumors are swirling. Where are they swirling? This is the first I'd heard of it, that Joe Biden's niece, that's former president of the United States, Joe Biden, political problem child, Caroline Biden, was once romantically involved with alleged crypto torture bro, William Duplessis, sources allege to Page 6. The pair are not currently together, and it's unknown when they dated. A lawyer for Duplessis had no comment, and we were unable to reach Biden. Duplessis, along with crypto investor John Woelz, we know this. So continuing, and that's Caroline. This is a rather old photograph, but that's Caroline. The blonde in the middle, and this is her having some court trouble of her legal trouble of her own. Let's get to it. It seems like the hard partying Duplessis, 32, had an interest in political power. Well, he already has a connection to Mayor Eric Adams, and we'll look at a little bit more of that in a second. Another source told Page 6 that the crypto investor, who became known around New York City for dropping thousands on bottle service, would allegedly tell people he met on the party scene. I guess they met. Oh, no, wait. So the source told Page 6 that, wait, who? Another source would tell. Oh, okay. Sorry, this is confusing. The crypto investor, meaning Duplessis, would allegedly tell people whom he met on the party scene that he, Duplessis, was an arms dealer. An arms dealer with political aspirations. Wait, what? Now, do you think he was lying? Do you think he was just bigging himself up? Why would he say that? Was this what got him kicked out of the Daronin building, the Amman? Was he running around telling people he was an arms dealer? And they were like, no. Although, why would they have a problem with that? Okay, so here's Frankenbro. Here's Duplessis. William would say he works with the CIA and that he did a big arms deal, said a source. He would tell people he was running to be a senator in Kentucky. Now, that all sounds crazy. It sounds like pipe dreams. It sounds like powder dreams, right? And perhaps it was. But remember, there was a raid on 2 properties in Kentucky. We're going to look at that next time, because we're running a little long for this first episode. So we'll have to look at that, the raid in Kentucky. That it was wild. I swear, I was researching this story, this case, like a month ago. It was not long after it happened. And I saw the raid happen. I saw the news story, not the raid happen as it took place, but I saw the news come across the wire, and it wasn't connected to this story. And I went, it's gotta be these guys. And indeed it was. So here's a guy who's saying he works with the CIA. He's claiming to be an arms trader. He's involved in crypto, which is still shady AF. And they just had the NYPD, the FBI, and the ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. And isn't there another one? It's like explosives. I think they've added on another letter. All raiding both a mansion and It looked like a log cabin on a bit of a little bit of land, like out, like a mansion that is like right on. I think it's not. I don't think it's the main street, but it's like a main street. I don't think it's literally named Main Street, but it may be in Kentucky, in this town in Kentucky, Smithland, that has been mentioned before. Crazy, right? What is going on here? Was the guy lying? Was he just making stuff up? What's going on? Why did they need ATF down in Kentucky? Were they really dealing in arms? What was going on? Okay, no one's followed up on this. I haven't seen any investigative reporting that has delved into this, and it's a crazy story. Okay, TikToker Taylor Pare, I guess, not familiar with that person, has been chronicling the crypto scandal. Well, maybe they've got the scoop, and has also claimed that Duplessis and Biden formerly dated. Biden, 38, the daughter of the former president's brother, James, has also previously been in the headlines for getting in trouble with the law. And here's another picture of Caroline looking a lot lanky, or not lanky, leaner than she did before. I think she was maybe under a little bit of induced keeping the weight down, if you will. The exact opposite of what happened with Duplessis. He sort of seemed to pork up. She, at the time, very thin, she seemed to have gained that weight back, gotten back up to a healthier weight. So here's another picture of Caroline. This is her in court. And if you look very, very closely, you can see the remnants of a shiner under her. That would be her right, on our left eye. Okay, in August 2019, the Georgetown University grad, that's Caroline, was arrested for driving under the influence without a license after smashing into a tree in Lower Merion Township, Pennsylvania, according to public records. A blood test showed, and I'm going to have to look up what the pronunciation of this. It is carisoprodol, aka Soma, a pain medication, and lorazepam, aka Ativan, which is a benzodiazepine, supposed to be treating anxiety. Both of those were in her system, and there were pill bottles in her car. Records show she was sentenced to probation. In 2017, she was arrested for going on a $110,000 shopping spree at the high-end Manhattan pharmacy Bigelow Apothecaries on a stolen credit card. A felony conviction was later tossed, and she was allowed to re-plead to the lesser charge of petty larceny as a deal, part of a deal hashed out by her lawyers, the Post reported at the time. And the idea of spending $110,000 at Bigelow Pharmacy is beyond insane. It is, yes, it's high end, but when we look deeper at Caroline in a future episode, I will show you, if you're not familiar with Bigelow Apothecary, Bigelow Pharmacy, I'll show you their website. I'll show you how it's almost impossible to have spent that kind of money in a short period of time at the pharmacy. There is one way in which that might make the $110,000 might make sense, and it has a very weird possible, I mean, this could be a stretch, possible link to the crypto bros and the townhouse. Maybe, but I'm going to save that for a future episode because, again, we're running a little long. So continuing, I not only acknowledge my conduct and take responsibility, but deeply regret the harm caused, she told Justice Curtis Farber. And there's Caroline again in court, or coming out of court. I can assure you that I have made amends, full restitution, completed community service, and that nothing like this will ever happen again, added Biden at the time. In 2013, she was arrested after allegedly slapping an NYPD officer. The cops had been called over a dispute Biden had with a roommate. A source at the time told Page Six that Biden was screaming at the top of her lungs after her roommate confronted her about unpaid rent at their $3,500 a month digs. And that story was nuts. There's a lot more details about that, including a bizarre picture of Caroline Biden with the police. Here she is, looking much, much happier, much more healthy. not in court, not with a black eye. But yeah, we will look at that more about Caroline later, not today, in a future episode. She was sentenced to probation. After that, she checked into a posh rehab in Delray Beach, Florida for anger issues. In the completely unrelated crypto case, so completely unrelated that we've made an entire article about her, Duplessis is facing charges. Yes, we know. Okay. And he's been indicted, and a lot of repetitive information. So imagine these two, if they dated. We need remember the old Conan O'Brien show where they would take people that were either dating or linked in the press, and they would do a horrible mashup of their features. Well, I can't imagine what they would do with, I'm trying to imagine what they would do with Caroline and Frankenbro over here. It would not be pretty. It already isn't. Okay, and I'm not reading this article, but to bring us back to Mayor Adams and the crypto. If you've been listening since the beginning, you may remember I mentioned Brock Pierce, right? And so here's a connection. Again, I'm not reading this whole thing. This is Mayor Adams, the guy in the middle. And here he is again. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. This already occurred May 27 to 28 in Las Vegas, a cryptocurrency industry convention. There's Eric Adams. You can see Vivek Ramaswamy, Brian Johnson. That's that creepy dude who's is trying to stay young forever, and he's like taking blood out of his teenage son and injecting himself. Weird, creepy dude. Anyway, he was getting a lot of press not that long ago for his weird, longevity, search for immortality kind of thing. There's him. And then, if you look in the small photos below, featured speakers, there's Brock Pierce. So here we go, bringing it full circle. We've got the crypto bros in the Nolita, not Soho, townhouse, right? We have William Duplessis, who worked, at least in the past, for Brock Pierce, who we're going to look at in another episode. But I'll give you a little taste of who Brock Pierce is if you're not familiar with him, because that's a wild story. He's what a guy. Very interesting. So we have Duplessis, who worked for Brock Pierce, who's in crypto, and he's attending this conference with Eric Adams, whose security, NYPD security, was doing security for Duplessis and Woelz at the Crypto Bro Townhouse. We brought it full circle. What does it mean? Does it mean anything? You be the judge, because the journalists, I have not seen anyone report on this, follow it up, or anything. But I think I would be remiss if I did not mention DNA House, which I guess is the sponsor of this event, is co-owned by crypto billionaire Brock Pierce. They're calling him a billionaire, who was also in attendance at last week's summit. In 2021, Pierce flew Adams out on his private plane to speak at a separate crypto event in San Juan, Puerto Rico, which is where Pierce had relocated. I think he's still based in Puerto Rico. He wanted to make Puerto Rico like a crypto haven or something. Though the mayor asserted that he funded the trip himself. So I just want to tease that a little bit. We will talk more about that on a future episode. And if you wanted to know about Brock Pierce, this is just very quickly, and this brings in Epstein, if you were waiting for it. What? You mentioned Jeffrey Epstein. You're doing clickbait. No, absolutely not. I wouldn't do that, because here it is. And here's Brock Pierce and his wacky hat. This article is amazing, and we will look at it in the future. But I'll just read the little headline and blurb here up at the top. Cryptocurrency's own Bernie Madoff, ? Inside wild world of former Disney child star turned crypto billionaire who founded controversial Tether coin, which experts have dubbed a Ponzi scheme that could bring down the industry once and for all. as values in cryptocurrency plummeted, that's redundant, over the last 6 months, experts fear the worst is yet to come. Well, this is an article from 2022, so I don't think we have to worry about anything just yet. And focus their scrutiny on Tether, a stablecoin that they say can bring the whole system down. And from what I've heard, Tether is a little bit of has some weird connections. I've heard Duplessis mentioned CIA, allegedly, to people he met in the club world. I've heard CIA connections to Tether coin, but again, that's something that maybe we can talk about in the future episode. The coin was invented by Brock Pierce, 41, a former Disney child actor turned crypto billionaire with a dicey business track record that links him to, and I hope you have eyes on screen because I'm not going to mention this specifically, to a Hollywood, let's call it a CSA ring in his early professional years. And that's an entire story, an entire wild, true story of its own. And if you are familiar with, I believe this was touched on, covered in the documentary called An Open Secret. I think I've got the name right. That came out, oh boy, was that about 10 years ago at this point? It feels like it was not that long ago, but it was a little while ago. Yeah, a lot of big names connected to that, a lot of weirdness, and we'll talk about that in the future. But continuing, Pierce's circle of contacts includes Trump consigliere Steve Bannon. Are they still tight? I keep hearing about Bannon here and there, but not so much connected to Trump. Although Bannon does have an interesting friend in a European princess, and I'd love to. One of these days, I am going to do an episode. If she deserves a series, I will give her one, to Princess Gloria TNT, Fonturno Taxis. Very fascinating person. She's tight with Bannon, although that's an odd connection, and we'll look at that maybe another story for another time. So Bannon, with whom he, meaning Brock Pierce, ran an internet gaming business, and don't want to say that word, PDF file, Jeffrey Epstein, with whom he counseled on cryptocurrency. Okay. Well, I think that's a good place to stop for now. And when we come back, you know what? I will just show you a little bit of this, just a little more of a tease. This is the Smithland raid, the raid in Kentucky. I'll just show some pictures. You can see how crazy it was. That's the mansion. They had helicopters. They had all sorts of stuff going on in Kentucky. And again, state police. Oh, I forgot. Kentucky State Police, ATF, NYPD. I thought they had the FBI there too, but that is wild. So we will be looking at that next time, and we will go, excuse me, even further into the background of Woelz and Duplessis. Let's see, I'm looking for a good photo to leave you with. There's a good one. Woelz and Duplessis, and we will look at the possible other side of the story. Is it possible that they did not actually hold this man captive? Did they not exactly kidnap him? Was he actually forced to do the things and subjected to the things that he is Carteran, the alleged victim, has been alleging, that has been alleged in the charges, the actual criminal charges that are pending against William Duplessis and John Woelz, who, to be 100% fair and accurate and truthful, they have both pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. They claim they are innocent, that this is all a bad misunderstanding, and they have yet to go to trial. So we don't really know what evidence will be presented to prove that, maybe the story isn't what we're hearing. It remains to be seen, but we will go into this more next time. And so if you are listening, I thank you for joining us. This is French Dip Empire. I am the Empress. please hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment. Every little bit helps with that YouTube algorithm and our march toward monetization so we can offer more on the YouTube channel to you, the listener/viewer. And thank you again for listening, and I hope to see you or interact with you, see you, hear you, talk with you next time. Have a great day, and bye-bye.